Yes, I own a bass now. And yes, I made a drum kit from a cardboard box. This is not the first time I've made a drum kit from sampling weird stuff. The drums from this beat.
I'm not a wave, I am the ocean. I'll admit it, that was not the best rhyme I could have chosen. I think you get the notion, it's motion.
Were made from recordings of myself running around with a microphone and a drumstick, hitting and scraping my electronic drum kit. There's a sample pack available for you from that exact kit on Patreon. It's weirdly satisfying to create and use your own samples, and I will recommend everyone to try it out for themselves. It's a journey filled with happy accidents. Here's how I went about creating the drums for this video and how you can easily do that yourself. We are having a bit of inconsistent lighting today, but let's ignore that for now. Well, I spent half an hour moving this camera and a microphone around, recording myself being overly noisy as I unboxed the bass. I brought this recording session into Ableton and I simply cut out sounds like these. I cut out all of these sounds and grouped them into useful categories, like this percussion group, and this snare group, and this shaker group, and this kick group. Right, you get the idea. And so I had all of these sounds I could build from. You've already seen how I manipulated most of the sounds, and it's not too complicated. Sometimes an equalizer will be enough to shape your sound. You just have to be mindful of the quality you're looking for. Say you wanted to create a kick. A kick has two elements to it. The first element is a beater hitting a surface like this. That's the first element. Create a sound of that impact. The second element is that the vibrations caused by the beater hitting the surface resonate in a large box called the bass drum, and that happens to dish out a lot of low end. So create a sound with a present low end. Sometimes your recording has both elements already, and sometimes you have to create the sounds separately and then layer them on top of each other. As an example, I had to layer two different sounds for my snare drum. The first layer is just the sound of the stick hitting the snare. Right, that's it. But the thing is, a snare has wires underneath it, which adds a quick sizzle. And I wanted to emulate that as well. And that became this layer, which you already saw in the beginning of the video. But let me explain what happens here. Here's the sizzle sound without the effects added to it. Then I added the grain delay with a quick spray to add just a bit more texture very quickly. That's it. You can barely hear it. Then I added an EQ just to boost the high end a bit. That's it. And a sizzle reverb, as it's called. Now that adds quite a lot of tail to it, and that's not how the wires of a snare really respond. Instead, it just shuts down the sound quite quickly. So we do the same thing by adding a gate. So the gate just cuts off the sound when it gets to a certain point, which is quite quickly here. Listen to this. That's it. Now sometimes you have to be a bit creative to create the sound you're looking for. Like, for example, how does one create a crash cymbal? Well, that is simple. My crash cymbal, without any manipulation, sounds like this. Want to hear that again? Right, now a crash cymbal is very present in the mid-frequencies, but those same mid-frequencies creates a huge mess of overtones extending into the higher frequency spectrum. So the first thing we do is that we get rid of the low end, because why bother? We're not going to hear that. But we are keeping the mid-frequencies here and boosting a bit of the highs. So now it sounds like this. Nice. But to really, bring out those overtones, we distort the signal. And you can use whatever you want to distort it, but I'm just using Ableton's amplifier. Now it sounds like this. Yes, that's good, but a crash cymbal does not cut off like that. So we need something to extend the sound, to let the cymbal ring out. And we do that by adding a reverb to it. Now it sounds like this. And that's basically the cymbal, although I did also add a ping pong wide just to give it a bit more character. And that sounds like this. Now before I leave you, I just want to make a quick mention, because I was speaking to Bad Parenting, who had just bought a copy of this very synthesizer, the Prophet Rev 2. And we were talking about how versatile this instrument is, and yet again I found a great way of incorporating this. I loaded up the preset Eventide, and just on its own it sounds like this. And I quickly thought to myself, I want this is going to be my pre-chorus. I want this reverby, delay-ish, spacious sound to my pre-chorus. But we're coming from a very dry verse, a very, that funky dry sound. So I was thinking of ways to transition into this pre-chorus. And I ended up settling on just creating a fade automation here. So I'm just slowly fading in the sound. And I'm trying to match that reverb with the reverb I have on my vocals here. So the wetness of this reverb also increases as the synth enters. So I just want you to listen to how well this synth fits, like how it warms the entire background and gives you that spacious sound before it completely cuts again and we're back into the dry groove. But let me just quickly turn on the EQ and the compressor for the synth so it fits into the mix again, and let's just start from here, and I'll let you see the automation of the vocals as that should increase as well. Not that one, this one. Right, so that one with the red dot, that's what we're looking at as it increases. Let's have a listen to this, shall we? Wait, without the solo button. Now it ends with this little glitchy part. And this was not something I came up with, that was just part of the patch, and I thought that fits so nicely to just make this glitchy groove. Happy accident, Now that's it for this video. Leave a comment if you want me to finish the track, subscribe if you want more of this type of content, if you want all of my music, that's on Patreon. Now go have tons of fun with your music projects, and I'll see you in the next one.